What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Five. It's Will.
Stuff.
And it's Griff.
In this episode, we got Final Four recap, national championship. We got some MLB, NBA, and NFL talk, as well as the Masters. What do we say?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Five. This is going to be a great episode, and we're getting right into things. The reason it's going to be a great episode is North Carolina is in the national championship. This episode is coming out on Tuesday. We are recording on Monday at around 4 p.m. We don't know the results yet, so we're going to be covering the Final Four. We're going to be talking about the national championship, making our predictions for you guys to see if we were right or wrong. But we got to start in the Final Four, guys. We're going to start with the late game. UNC beating Duke 81-77. Will, I'll let you take over from here. We're in.
I couldn't feel any better about this game. It was amazing. Probably witnessed one of a really, really great game. Great Final Four. Armando Bacot is an absolute legend for coming back and playing and fouling out, and we still won the game. I remember, I think at halftime, my uncle texted me and he was like, UNC is they're done for at halftime because it was close, but we were trending the wrong direction. But I liked how we played. I liked how we played strong nose. We didn't really let them control the game too much. And I texted them saying that Caleb Love and Brady Manick were gonna seal the deal for us, and they did just that.
Kind of bouncing off of what you said. Great game. I don't think there's any complaints about the results here from the Final Four, but a few takeaways I wanted to bring up. One, Caleb Love loves the spotlight. Every single time the spotlight's on UNC, obviously throughout the tournament, even in the regular season, he's ready. He plays well. Armando Bacot, obviously, like Will said, but I kind of want to talk about Duke a little bit and how their stars disappeared towards the end. AJ Griffin all game, he was terrible. He shot 1 of 7. Excuse me. He's supposed to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. If I'm a scout and I see this, it's all right, the biggest game of the year, and you just crumble. How can I expect you to play for my team? And even Paolo Banchero down the stretch, he didn't do anything. The stars of Duke in the second half just didn't come to play. They were not ready for UNC to kind of bounce back in the second half. After, I don't want to say a lackluster first half, but like Will just said, Duke was trending upwards at half, and they probably thought UNC was going to lay down, but it's proven not to be true. Griff, what do you think about
that? And I knew in the second half when Duke was relying on Trevor Keels that this game was over. We've talked about it all year. Duke's bench is awful. They have great talent through 1 through 5, but once you get to even 6, 7, their 6th man isn't good. Their 7th man isn't good. Just the way that they play the game, but Trevor Keels was heavily relied on in the second half. By then, I knew the game was over because that's not the way that this Duke team has been dominating throughout the run. They're relying on other people to step up, and Trevor Keels could, but nobody else that was supposed to already be doing good was. And as you said, Paolo Banchero, you can look at the stat sheet. You can see that he had 20 and 10. In my opinion, it was 20. There was a couple of good buckets in there. Late in the game, I didn't see him do anything. I saw one pass from him that could have been an assist, but it was actually a foul that led to Williams shooting 2 free throws. The idiot missed both of them because he's terrible. Duke is terrible. Coach K ends with a loss. He can't beat UNC. He's 50-50 all time against UNC officially. So Coach K certified against my team, certified not a winner. It's a great feeling. Paolo Banchero should be a top 5 pick. I don't agree with it. Can't shoot the ball. Can't win big games. AJ Griffin, he had 6 points. If you put me out there for 30 minutes, I could huck up a bunch of threes. I think I might be able to get 6 points out of it too. Puff Johnson, great minutes off the bench. So your 9 minutes really sealed the deal because he actually came in. And you know what? He had 2 points. And you can laugh at me all you want. These 9 minutes that Puff Johnson put in, Cam Johnson's younger brother of the Phoenix Suns, those were a big 5 minutes because that's when Baycott got taken out. They had to go with a bit of a smaller lineup. Puff Johnson went in there and he played defense. He hit 2 big free throws as well. His only 2 points of his game, of the whole game, I think were in the last 2 minutes. To be on the bench pretty much the whole game and hit those big free throws is awesome. The man of the hour though, Caleb Love, he's the best player in the tournament. I'm sorry, and Armando Baycott at 11 and 21 doesn't have an ankle at the moment. Still going to play on Monday night. Caleb Love is single-handedly carrying us, and Will, you said he has, or was it stop? He wants to take the shot, right? But it's not even that. I just don't think, and we talked about, I love to bring it up with the Bengals. It's the young guys that are just out there having fun. He doesn't care about the moment. It's not that he wants to be in the moment. He just didn't care about the moment. He was just playing his game of basketball stuff. That's why they won it. And you can talk about Duke all you want in this new era, whatever their new coach's name is, isn't going to be as good. Coach K had a good career, won 5 natty stuff. What does this mean for his legacy?
Oh, he's an absolute loser. You finished 500 against your rival. I'm sorry. I don't want to say that's terrible because UNC's a great program. But if you're this coveted head coach, the best coach of all time, some people say, and you don't have a winning record against your rival, what does that really mean? Like, think of it like this. What if Bill Belichick, by the time it's all said and done, he finished with a 500 record against the Bills or 500 against the Dolphins or something like that? He wouldn't be considered like where he is right now. You have to have success against the best teams. And if you don't have even 500, that's not success. I'm sorry. No one really plays to be 500. So he was at Duke for 5,000 years. And for him to split the series against UNC, that's not good, especially losing to a first-year head coach in the Final Four, 8 seed, which I kind of want to talk about the seeding a little bit later, but 8 seed, we'll throw that in there because they are. You have the best players in the country. You got Paolo, you got AJ Griffin. Those are 2 guys who are going to go top 10 in the NBA draft. And you lose to your rival on the biggest stage ever in your final game. You're a loser. And I kind of want to add one more thing. I hate how he always feels the need to go congratulate other players while they're doing their press conferences. He won't do it when the cameras are off. He'll only do it when the cameras are on. Like Armando Baycott was going through an interview, a lot of reporters around him. Coach K made sure to go up to him and tell him.
He was like, I had you as my player of the year. Like, shut up.
Yeah, that was
who cares? Like, Coach K, who asked? Like, but go take your L, go back to your family and just retire. You're done.
And have a good life after retirement. Good save. Good save.
See you on the links. That's it.
Right. So
just a certified loser, like at the end of the day.
It's not even that he's a loser. He won his 5 national championships, and like you can call him a winner in that category. But in life, he's a loser, and it's nobody's fault but his own, to be honest. I compare this man very closely to LeBron James. There's like a certain sense of pride you have to have, and after the loss, it's funny because he's been talking about himself so much, and then they lost, and he was like, it's really just about the players. Like, if it was about the players, then you wouldn't have announced that you were coming back for one more year and this was going to be your farewell tour. You can't just go out and say, oh, it's all about the players. It clearly wasn't about the players. If it was about the players, you would do what every other coach does. And when it's time to retire and you're in the middle of the offseason, you're just like, okay, it's done. Like my great coach, Roy Williams, who just called it quits. He knew when it was time, and you saw that man, Will. You saw Coach Williams in the stadium, in the bleachers, first row with the little patchwork UNC mask, the vest, the Jordan 11s. He is like that's the sister Jean. It's just our old basketball coach. But UNC, an 8 seed, in my opinion, shouldn't have been an 8 seed. If you lose 9 games and you're in the ACC, you shouldn't be an 8 seed. Which doesn't really make sense to me. They've got a big game ahead of them. Will, I'll let you finish up with UNC and let you transition over.
Yeah, no, great dub. Love to see it. Coach K. Love to see Coach K go out against UNC. Like that's just iconic moment. But let's go to the big game. That's what we want to talk about. Um, Honestly, after seeing how well they played against Duke, really coming in at the end, I really think this game is a coin flip at this point.
Before we talk about the final, let's talk about the other Final Four game.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do have the other Final Four game.
But it's fair. It's fair. It's fair. It is fair that you said this because this game wasn't a game at all. And I think that's why you meant that Kansas absolutely obliterated Villanova. Stav, it's the end of a road. It was a great ride, though. They did miss 2 free throws, Stav. And I want to know how you feel about going 8 for 10. First off, missed 2 free throws, only shot 10 of them. Stav, was that the difference? Was that the difference?
Okay, well, let me get this straight. First off, remember the keys to the game that I said last episode for Villanova? You got to drive and you got to get to the line. They didn't do that. They looked like they were out of. They looked like a D2 team, especially in the first half. Kansas was running all over them, hitting their shots, doing whatever they wanted. And there were some spurts where Villanova would hit a few threes here and there, get back within single digits, and then Kansas would just pull away, go up by 20. And that was the tendency of the game. I do think we all had, I think our IT5 bracket officially had, Villanova versus Kansas in the Final Four, which is great.
I think we did, and we had Kansas winning.
Yeah. So I figured that this would be the end of the line for Villanova, especially with you're losing a starter. Gillespie can only do so much. I think he had a pretty good game. Just Kansas is so goddamn good. Like,
they're amazing.
They look miles better than whoever they face. And we'll get into this in our next segment, but I think North Carolina is the hardest team that Kansas has to face all tournament. And it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for that, kind of getting ahead. But Ochai Agbaji, he's up there for my player of the tournament, along with Caleb Love. Like, those two guys have willed their team to their point. Kansas just looks way better than everybody else.
It's true. It's a bunch of NBA players on that team. In what Kansas has that no other team in NCAA has is someone off the bench. Literally in the tournament at this point, you just need one person off the bench. That's exactly what Kansas has in Remy Martin. He's a guard that can come in, and he's honestly like a fake starter. Like, he comes off the bench early, and I don't see him come out of the game. He is an absolute spark plug. He gets the offense going. He takes the ball out of Agbaji's hands, which is amazing. That's exactly what they need to be able to spread out that court more. It allows Agbaji to kind of work off ball, get open shots without the ball in his hands. They are perfectly matched up to play anybody that they come across. And a big part of this game is David McCormick. When it came against Villanova running a small ball lineup. McCormick 8. He's a forward, but he had 25. He had 9 rebounds the whole game. When it seemed they were in doubt, when it looked like Villanova was coming back, they just get that ball in the low post. McCormick went to work. He had one crazy dunk on somebody's head. That was insane. Kansas just looks like it's a bunch of NBA players right now, and Agbaji is leading it. In the way that he's playing, he really looks like he could be like a successful NBA player. I'm not even kidding. He's big. He shoots the hell out of the ball. He went 6 for 7 from 3. He started the game off, I think it was 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 from 3. I honestly didn't think he was going to miss. Like, once I started that, I was like, he might not miss, and they might win by 30. He missed 1. He went 6 for 7. He had 21 points. He was special. He was very special. And Stav, I agree with you. It's either Love, or you could argue Armando Bacot. The amount of rebounds that guy gets is insane. But overall, Kansas is where they should be, to be honest. This is their floor. It is making it to the national championship, and their ceiling is winning the national championship because it's Kansas. And we knew this all year. It was going to be whoever came out of that conference. It's been a great year for that squad.
Yeah, I agree. There's not much more I can really say. You guys covered it all.
I kind of wanted to, before we move on to the national championship, I do want to say again and reiterate, Kansas looked like the only number one seed this tournament. We talk about Gonzaga, who we were all very low on, Baylor, who lost to UNC, who shouldn't have been a one seed, and who Arizona was the other one seed.
Arizona was,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Pac-12's fake.
Like when you think about one seeds, Kansas is the only one that stuck out. They're good on both sides of the ball. However you want to play, they can adjust. Like you want to play fast, they're going to outrun you. You want to shoot, they're going to outshoot you. You want to make it a defensive matchup, they're going to out physical you. So it's going to be interesting to see how North Carolina adjusts from Duke to Kansas. We want to come transition over to our
no, exactly. So I mean, UNC versus Kansas is going to be a great one. You got a first-time coach in Hubert Davis, going up against what's Kansas? Bill Self. Going up against Bill Self, who's done it before once. He's looking for a second. Looking at key matchups in this game, honestly, it's really difficult to tell. Like it's actually up in the air. In my opinion, it's a coin flip. And you could say UNC is an 8 seed and Kansas is a 1 seed, but UNC hasn't been playing like an 8 seed. And honestly, if they started playing this level of basketball halfway through the year, they would have won the ACC. They would have been a 2 seed, a 3 seed. UNC was not properly ranked. And I think throughout this whole tournament, it's shown that the committee honestly didn't even do a great job with ranking and the placement of teams in the tournament. But nonetheless, it's been a great tournament. I just think that that's one thing that, like, we've had great games, but I think teams weren't properly rated. I think the fact that UNC was an 8 seed, they went and beat Marquette by almost 40 points is insane going up against the 9 seed. Just kind of, I don't know, stupid in my opinion. But UNC, if Armando Bacot can play 70% of what he usually does, they'll be very successful tonight. Kansas, in my opinion, they have McCormick. Armando Bacot is stronger than all 5 of those guys combined. He is insane. He got 21 rebounds on Duke in the Final Four. I'm honestly going to go with UNC tonight. And Will, I hope you agree with me. I'll pass it over to you.
I totally agree. Really quick about the ranking, I think they did an awful job this year, and I think that's what made this tournament going into it seem like, wow, this could be one of the more difficult brackets we have to predict this year because of the seeding. Like if you feel like in past years when you look at certain brackets, you're like, oh wow, there's an obvious winner, or obviously we have Kansas as the obvious winner beforehand, but like going into it, I feel like there was more than one obvious route that you could take. I feel like this year it was just like too much of a coin flip, to be honest. But back into the national championship, like I said earlier, I do think it is a coin flip, but I feel like the coin's going to flip on UNC side tonight. I am a little biased there, but I really do think North Carolina has what it takes to outwill Kansas in the national championship. And I think what's really going to come down to it is early on that Villanova game, it was like the most sloppiest basketball game we've ever seen in the first half. They were just turnovers after turnovers, and they were just going back and forth, and no one was scoring for a short period of time. If North Carolina can get some turnovers from Kansas, I really think that will separate them apart this game.
I have to disagree. I'm sorry, boys. I'm going Kansas tonight. And I just think Kansas has way too much star power to actually lose. We see it in the past where we want the underdog to win. I mean, I'm rooting for whoever. I'm just rooting for a good basketball game tonight. I mean, I do have Kansas winning or have them winning it all, but I don't think UNC is very hot. It's very hard to come around or have a quick turnaround from that. How much emotion was poured out into that Duke game? Your rival, you beat Coach K, you have that status. For you to come back down to earth and play the best team in college basketball in Kansas, literally 2 days later, not even 48 hours apart. It's just, I don't know. I can't see North Carolina winning this game, to be honest. I just think Kansas has too much, they have too much going into this where it's just everything's going their way. I don't know. Griff, what do you think?
I'm gonna hit you with this, and I think it's gonna change your mind. You're an emotional guy, and I think this is gonna get you. Stav, you know what this moment reminds me of?
What?
The 2004 ALCS. Red Sox, Yankees, down 3-0 in the mud, right? Oh, Coach K, his final NCAA tournament, playing his rival, right? Obviously, he's going to win, right? Obviously, the Yankees are going to win. They're up 3-0, right? No, they didn't win. And the Red Sox won and the Tar Heels won. And now, you know what? They're going to play the Cardinals. Great team, by the way, that year. Fantastic team. They swept them. This is momentum. This is the end. Like, you don't want to catch UNC anymore. And I think the emotion is just going to pour over. They don't have enough time. And this is a real test for Coach Hubert Davis to show if he is legit. Keep those boys or keep those men. You know, I'm sick of people, first off, and it was just in my head because I was watching ESPN earlier, and they always call them boys to just keep trying to say that they're amateurs. But these men, keeping these men in check, that this isn't over, and yeah, we just beat Duke. But honestly, that's not what we're here for. We're here for a national championship. Whoever's in our way, we got to take care of them. And this is a real test for Hubert Davis. The reason I think UNC is going to win is because I believe in him. I really think that he is a great coach. And if he can keep his players in check, all he needed to do was 2 days, and just right after that dub, be like, our tournament isn't over, right? And we have one more game. We're playing a fantastic team, but we have beat some fantastic teams along the way. Let's just keep this going. If Armando Baycott can play, stop, I really think it is going to be a fantastic game, and New Orleans is going to erupt tonight, as it usually does, anyways,
I,
on a
I
Monday night.
I really think UNC wins this game because they've yet to fold under pressure in the presence of superstars.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate your comparison with the 2004 Red Sox to
I thought it would get you.
2022 UNC. Yeah, well, so what I want to compare this to is the 2017 Patriots, the year they lost to the Eagles. They come back, they beat the Jaguars in the AFC Championship. A lot went their way, and they come out and lose the
that
Super
game.
Bowl. I was also there, and
Was
it
that the
just
same game?
we can compare coaches. I think Hubert Davis is going to be a great coach for the rest
I
of
don't think he's going to be a Bill Belichick. Yeah.
I'm not trying to make those comparisons. I think all the comparisons across sports will end there. But Hubert Davis is a great coach. He can coach however he likes. However, pound for pound, you look at the matchup. There's no advantage. Like, I mean, Armando Baycott, I would say. However, he's hurt. Like, there's no shying around it. He is not going to be 100%. Like, he'll play, but he won't be the guy grabbing 21 rebounds, you know? Like, Kansas is going to have that advantage. They're going to be running, and I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up. And both Caleb Love and RJ Davis, they're going to have a lot of pressure on them, especially with Ochai Agbaji, who's just going to be shooting. He shot 6 or 7 from 3 against Villanova, who have pretty good guards as well. I don't want to take anything away from them, but just Kansas is playing at a whole nother speed that UNC has not seen yet.
And stop. I'm glad we disagree because I feel like we haven't disagreed ever. So here's what I'm gonna say back to you is the fact that Caleb Love isn't gonna have to guard Agbaji, but Abaji's gonna have to guard Caleb Love. Leaky Black is most likely gonna guard Ochai Agbaji. That's gonna put a lot off Caleb Love's shoulders. He's going to go out there and get buckets, not worried as much on defense. I mean, whoever else he guards is going to be a tough assignment as well, but not having to guard the star player. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure that Agbaji is going to guard Caleb Love either, just because, I mean, how tall is Agbaji? He's like 6'7", right? He plays small forward. While Caleb Love runs the 2, sometimes the 1, depending on who's in, but usually it's RJ Davis running the 1. I think Leaky Black is gonna have a big game tonight. This is a big game for him. He's a guy that he gets around 4 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, and about 15 times you see him on the floor, and he's always wearing all black 11s. He's that kind of guy that's just gonna lock up your best player, and if he only has to do that, he will do that. You know what I'm saying? Like if Coach Hubert Davis walks over to him and is like, you don't have to take a shot. You don't have to touch the ball on offense. I just need you to lock down Abaji the whole game. Leaky Black will do literally everything in his power to do so. I'm not saying that, I mean, Abaji is going to score like 10 points. I still think Abaji is going to score like 20 nonetheless, but it's going to be a lot less off Caleb Love's shoulders. I think that this is going to be a dogfight of just steady scoring back and forth. I think it's going to be an interesting game where both teams are kind of running at their own pace, so nobody's really controlling the pace. It's just whoever is on offense at that point in time is successful. The only way this gets out of hand is if UNC starts missing shots, because missing a shot against Kansas, you might as well mark it as a turnover because they're guaranteed to go get a bucket on the fast break. They're the best fast break team in the country, and I don't even think it's close. Every single player on that team is so fast, and I said the same thing about Houston, but Houston was only known for that. Like these guys just run the court. They don't get tired. If UNC can slow them down the tiniest bit and they can sneak their way in, I think they can come out successful. But just like it's been the whole tournament, Stav, I think UNC. I mean, you can mark us where you want. The committee marked us as an 8 seed. We're an underdog. We are an underdog. We're a 4-point underdog tonight. We are a 4-point underdog on Saturday night as well in Coach K's funeral. It's going to be a great game nonetheless. I love Kansas. I'm a UNC fan. Honestly, I really want UNC to win, but I wanted to throw out here I have a player prop parlay. So this is my prediction. And it's two players, each on one side. Caleb Love over 17.5 points. Ochai Agbaji over 16.5 points. I parlayed that plus 190. Where does that miss, Will?
It doesn't. I think
It
of a
doesn't.
can't miss
It's as
parlay.
simple as that. It's literally like how was that going to miss? I really don't think it's gonna.
I don't either. I that's like honestly maybe the perfect parlay. And going to the question of who is going to surprise us tonight, I feel like we're going to see. I don't feel like it's going to be a surprise or who is going to surprise us. It's who's going to come back into action. And I think Brady Manick is going to be out there drilling threes, and we're going to get a full Brady Manick effect tonight if they win. If UNC wins, Brady Manick will be alive.
Yes, that's very true. I haven't even thought about Manic.
So I don't want to sound like I'm not giving UNC a shot. Maybe I might have said that I don't see a world where North Carolina wins. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. I do think that this game is winnable for UNC. So,
Right.
but a lot has to go right.
Exactly.
And an area that I will decide who wins this game within the first 5 minutes of the second half. Every single time Kansas has played this tournament, it's been a close first half, and then they just pull away. They always pull away at first 5-10 minutes of the second half, and you can't stop them. You gotta be ready to absorb the punch and kind of fight back. Especially like perfect example of that is in that Miami game. Miami was up at half. Kansas just steamrolled them in the second half. So that's where I kind of see the difference between Coach Hubert Davis and Bill Self. Bill Self will make the adjustments with his experience. Hubert Davis hasn't seen Kansas yet. So you got to be ready for that because no matter what happens, no matter how the first half is going to go, Kansas is going to come out in the second half a completely different team.
Yeah. So the one last thing I want to put in before we move in is first off, Will, that was a great point with Manic. I think that Manic, if he can play to his full potential, like 20 to 25 points, and he shows that there is a mismatch out on the court because that's honestly where it would be is with Manic. Just the way that he plays, I hate saying it, but he literally reminds me of Larry Bird, the way that you watch him play. He doesn't beat you with speed. He just beats you by knowing exactly where to be. It's as simple as that. His passing is phenomenal as well. He can get shots in the post. He gets those weird little post fades. He can shoot from wherever in the gym. And if he can really light on fire, which he has the potential to, we've seen him do it before. We saw him do it at Oklahoma. Then it's going to be a whole different story. The last thing I want to put in, there's only been one number 8 seed to win March Madness. It was in 1985, and it was the 8 seeded Villanova Wildcats. I bet they
Oh
hit
wow.
hit a bunch of free throws in that game. But
Oh
UNC
yeah.
looking to become the first team to do it in the 2000s, the second team ever. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a fun game. Win or loss, I am a happy man as a basketball fan. At the end of the day, it's just all about the stripes. It's all about the rest. I hope they go out there. I hope they have a great day. I hope they blow the whistle, give me a couple charges, give me a couple blocks. It's going to be a fantastic day.
So
That's what I
I
have to
think
say.
speaking of Larry Bird and Brady Manic, that comparison, let's go over to the Celtics.
Sure.
They swept the weekend, which they should have against the Pacers in a closer game, but then against the Wizards, which I really do want to talk about. Actually, no, I want to bring up one point about the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton is a stud.
He's so good.
Mm.
He
He
is
is
so good.
unreal. I absolutely love watching him play. And talking not about he didn't miss he missed like one shot against the Celtics, then he fouled out. The outcome of this game, I think, would have been different if he stayed in the game. There's no
I
stopping
agree.
Tyrese Halliburton. And he put up an insane game yesterday, Sunday,
Yeah, on
against
Sunday.
I mean, although it be against the Pistons, um
Pistols are good.
21
Trust
points.
me.
He put up 20, I think it was 21 points, 17 assists, 0 turnovers. Like
Yeah.
that's unreal for a year 2 point guard. Like the Pacers have their guy of the future. Like build around this guy. He's here to stay.
He's a all-star. He's going to be an all-star if not next year, the year after that. I really believe it. I thought Halliburton was, I mean,
And he had
coming out
9
of college, I
rebounds.
thought he was amazing. And once he was in trade talks, I was like, honestly, I'll trade anybody but JB, JT, and Rob Will for him. Like, imagine if he was on the Celtics roster where he doesn't even, because he can pass so well. The one thing I don't like about him is his form. I just don't like the way it looks. But at the same time, I like watching him play because when he shoots the ball, it's like, what is he doing? And then it just goes in. So it's like it's weird. It's oddly satisfying as a shot because honestly, it's so horrendous, but it's just like it's so good, like efficiency wise. Um, that's the one bad thing in my opinion about his game. It's just the way that he shoots. But the good thing about it is that it goes in. Tyrese Halliburton, I can't believe he got traded. He had no business getting traded. Any team would want to build around a guy like that as their point guard. He plays defense, he plays offense. And the Pacers not in the playoffs. They are a good young team. And you know what? The Wizards, moving on to this game that they played where they won by 42 points. The Wizards have been playing pretty good as of late. They've been trying to kind of find their identity. They found it under Kristaps, who's been averaging like 20 a game. And there was a lot of talk before this game where it was like, this is a game where the Celtics could low key. I mean, you could say it was a trap game where Kristaps drops like 20. Kuzma might have a couple of points too. And, Ish Smith, for some reason, is always so good against the Celtics. So who knows what he's going to do. But we went in there. We handled business. And honestly, this is a team that we should beat by 40 points. And I think that they made me happy because they beat them by 42. But just a little happy. I think we should have beat them by 40, to be honest. We're a 2 seed. We are a championship contender. We need to be blowing out these teams this late in the season so we can get in our bench guys to see what we're going to need for the postseason. I think it's as simple as that.
Agreed.
A point I wanted to talk about the Wizards because I haven't really said much about that Sunday game. The bench put up historical numbers in terms of the Celtics. They hit 15 threes off the bench. And yeah, we can make the argument it's against the Wizards. I don't really care. They're an NBA team. NBA teams can defend. And if you got guys like Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, and even Grant Williams just absolutely shooting the
Derek White
lights.
didn't miss from three,
No,
right?
he didn't. And I don't think he missed. I think only Pritchard missed
Pritchard missed a
twice from
couple.
three. He missed 2 or 3 times from
And I
three.
think
Grant missed
Neesmith
once.
missed once.
Yeah.
I
So
think
you
Neesmith
got
went
these
3 for
guys coming
14.
off the bench. It puts a whole new confidence in the starters. Like, and even Ime Udoka was like, all right, Jason Tatum, he needs 10 minutes to sit down, collect his breath for the fourth quarter. Same thing with Jaylen Brown. And if you can insert guys like, I'm not saying obviously Derek White can't play forward, but you put in Pritchard, White, Neesmith, Grant Williams, and they can hit their shots, that makes a huge difference, especially down the stretch in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, a 7-game series against a physical team like Milwaukee or Philly. You got guys who can hit their shots coming off the bench, you're a great team. I don't know if anyone wanted to add on to that or if we should transition to the week ahead for the Celtics.
I'm interested in the week ahead because we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to wrap in because playoffs are coming up. And
Griff disconnected. Continue with what you were saying.
yeah, no, I wasn't sure what was going on earlier when you were like, does anyone want to add on? Because Griff looked like he was having some problems over there. But continuing on, no, I definitely do want to talk about. I definitely agree with you. Like the bench is definitely going to give us a lot of confidence. That's very key for a great playoff run. And I think we already rehashed that many, many times. And especially after Rob Will went out and we had a great bench game, that's exactly what we wanted to see. But we do have the Bulls, the Bucks, and the Grizzlies currently to end the season. That's a really tough schedule. That is a really, really tough schedule. Honestly, I don't know if this is the right take here, but honestly, I don't think it really matters what happens here too much. I feel like the playoff focus just needs to be ahead of us.
I think they'll go 1-2 in this stretch. I think we're going to beat Chicago on Wednesday. We'll probably lose to Milwaukee on Thursday, and then on Sunday,
they'll probably be our bench guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
the Grizzlies will probably have everyone seeded too by then as well. So it's gonna be it's just gonna be it's gonna we might win that game, we might lose that game. It might be a really good game because both of the benches are actually really solid. So
we kind of, we're half a game up on the Bucks. So we have the schedule ahead for the Bucks as well, where they have Chicago, the Celtics, Detroit, and Cleveland. They have 4 games remaining. I think we kind of have to root for a split in that stretch where we hope Chicago wins. And based off of my predictions, I don't really want to backtrack, but I think Cleveland has a good chance of beating them as well. Mm-hmm. So if the Bucks go 2-2, the Celtics go 1-2 or 2-1, we're in a good spot. I think the 2-3 seed is exactly where we'll be.
Which is perfect, ideal situation for us. Not like we said earlier, I don't think we're gonna get the 1 seed, obviously, but even if we were in the running for that, I don't even think I'd want that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I wouldn't want the 1 seed, just in fear of playing the Nets, and that doesn't mean that I'm thinking that we're gonna lose to the Nets. I think we beat the Nets in about 5 or 6, but I'd rather play, say, the Bulls, who are probably going to be the 6 seed. I'd rather play them as the 3 seed, and we could honestly sweep the Bulls. A couple of teams that I don't want to play include, you could say the Raptors. The Raptors, first off, are good. Second off, I don't know if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be able to play in Toronto. Just due to vaccination status, because there's been a lot of talks about that. Guys.
I think Jason Tatum's confirmed. I think Jason Tatum is. I think I heard something about Jaylen Brown as well. I think the only one who's really up for question is Al Horford.
Interesting. So yeah, I don't want to play the Raptors just due to missing potentially any of our starters. Another team, say if we lock in the 2 seed, I'm kind of scared of the Hawks. If they don't let up as the 7, Trae Young is very good in the playoffs. So is honestly the whole team. Danilo Gallinari, a great veteran off the bench. Other than that, I feel good against the Bulls. I feel very good against the Bulls. I want to say, I feel good against the Cavs. I feel good against the Hornets. Just getting past the first round. Going into the second round, it's a whole different story depending on who we play. Honestly, I think the one team that I do not want to play the most out of the East is the Milwaukee Bucks. They have been very hot as of late, in my opinion. And Stav, you're talking about their season outlook on who's going to get the 2, who's going to get the 3. But I just hope that at the end of the season, where one of us is the 2 and one of us is the because that wouldn't make sense because we would match up, right? I kind of want someone to fall off so we don't see them in the second round. I'd rather play the Heat in the second round than the Bucks.
Yeah, so we gotta. If that's the case, I think we're rooting for the Bucks to fall off so they get
the 4
seed. Because the Bucks
numbers are so difficult, to be honest.
So
right now, I have it.
Okay, all right. So the Celtics are the 2 seed, and Milwaukee and Philly are tied for the 3 and the 4. However, Milwaukee has a tiebreaker. So if we want to avoid Milwaukee in the first or the second round, we would be rooting for Philly and Milwaukee to lose. Or we're rooting for Philly to win, Milwaukee to lose. But I don't think we can see Miami in the first round unless we get that 4 seed. Because Miami's not going to fall off. Miami, I think they have a pretty easy road ahead. Yeah, they have the Hornets, Hawks, and Heat. Hornets, Hawks, and Magic.
Yeah, they have an
Hawks,
easy route.
Yeah, so I don't.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing the Hawks in the first round compared to some teams. If we do play the Bucks, it's gonna be like, who are we going to play in the conference finals? If it's the Sixers, I think we can get past them. If it's the Heat, though, I think they're just so mentally, like, I don't know. Like, when we play the Heat, I feel like the whole game they're in everybody's head. Like, the Heat just have like superiority over the Celtics at all times. I don't know why it feels like that to me, but I just feel like every time we're playing the Heat, it's us playing the Heat, not the Heat playing against us. Like, I feel like we have to beat the Heat, right? So, like, I think it's Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. I'm scared of him. I'm scared of his mentality because he gets the whole team around him too at that point. He's not good at getting a team around him in the regular season, however, but it's working out this year just like it worked out a couple of years ago. It's going to be an interesting finals run, and I really think that the potential of this team is very good if we can get Rob Will back. And we didn't have Rob Will at all in our speaker notes because obviously we know he's out. But there has been very good news, and it's looking like it's the 4 to 6. It's looking like it's not going to extend out. I'm hoping for a second round. Here comes Rob Will. Here's the spark plug. Stav, when officially before the playoffs start, when do you think would be like too late for Rob Will to come back?
Too late, I think. Well, based off of the recent news that we've heard, he's already back like on the court, kind of rehabbing, which is great. I think I'm going to rephrase your question a little bit for me to answer. They need him beginning of the second round because that's when the real teams show up. I don't think we can beat Milwaukee or Philly without Rob Will. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but the odds won't be in our favor. With Rob Williams on the court, we can beat anybody, and I firmly
anybody in the NBA.
I agree.
Yeah,
anybody in the NBA.
And everyone's like, oh well, they don't have like that much of an inside prep, or like they don't have a good center or whatever. Rob Williams isn't a man-to-man player. He's a free safety. No one enters the paint when Rob Williams is playing. Like, it makes such a difference. You force teams to take contested shots. Like, on the back of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, all these guys' minds, it's like, I can get beat off the dribble because Rob Williams is in the paint going to patrol that. And when you have that mentality not to allow threes, let people drive, and Rob Williams is going to take care of business, you become such a better defensive team. I mean, Al Horford's still a great player, but he's not Rob Williams. Nobody is Rob Williams for how he patrols the paint and how well he does it. Even on-ball defending, he's still really good. Like, you see guards who get switched onto him or like in a pick and pop situation. Rob Williams defends guards. He is so lengthy and he's so athletic where he can block a three-pointer when they're 5 feet behind the arc. So we bring up teams like Milwaukee and Philly and even Miami. We missed him against Miami last week. You know, they had free range, fast break, whatever. No one was patrolling the paint. And we saw it against the Pacers too. So it's like, we need him for the second round because we're most likely going to face either Philly or Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, honestly, I'm more scared about the whole. I'm more scared about the whole situation where when past injuries with the Celtics in the playoffs, where they come back and we have to worry about minutes. That's when I feel like it's too late for Rob Will to come back. When it gets to that point where we're just so much better, I guess, in a way, where we're fine with what we have, and then we add that other piece, kind of like in the past when Gordon Hayward came back in the bubble, or like when Kemba's playing with an injury, and we're like, well, who's really in? Who's really our guy? What are we doing? That whole situation is what scares me.
Yeah. So like with those situations, and I can see how it happens. Well, in that situation, it would have to be we find a lineup that clicks, and we've tried out a few different lineups that include Grant at the 4 with Al at the 5. So our 1 through 3 is long. Smart, JB, JT. I've seen a couple of different lineups with Grant and Al, very small, and then with Al and Tice. If one of those starts clicking, that's the exact situation. Excuse me, but I feel like Rob will, no matter what. It's not a
Yeah.
guy like Gordon Hayward or Kemba or Kyrie. Actually, Kyrie didn't come back that year, but it's not like Kemba or Gordon Hayward where we're not only focused on the minutes that they're getting, but the amount of buckets that they're getting and the amount of time that the ball is in their hands. Such ball dominant guys. Where Rob Will comes in and stop. This is the perfect free safety like example where like I'm a Seahawks fan, right? And when Earl Thomas was out, when Cam Chancellor was out, we were a whole different team, and you can't click, right? That's like the middle linebacker is the captain of your defense, but one of the safeties is the captain of your DBs. And Rob Will, like as much as you want to say Marcus Smart is our captain, he is. Rob Will is our post. Like he's our whole post. It's not Al Horford who gets a couple blocks a game, or not a couple blocks a game, but gets a couple blocks here and there. But Robert Williams is our whole post defense. Like we need him, and no matter what, I think it's going to click because it's not some guy that we need for offense. We need him for defense, and we haven't seen that in all of these injury woes that we've been going through, where the people that are leaving or getting injured are people that we are relying heavily on to score around 20 to 25 points. I'm cool with 10 points from Rob Will as long as he gets his 10 boards, which is just around where he is. So it's kind of a different situation. But if Tice starts to get his and Tice starts going off like he's done in the playoffs before, like who knows what's going to happen? And honestly, I think no matter what, at the center position, that would be the best case scenario.
Kind of going off with what you're saying about defense. I don't know if I was just interrupting Will, but I'm sorry. But this quick note, perfect example of why we miss Rob Williams is this weekend. The Pacers, close game. They're getting theirs in the paint. The offense, yeah, we score 128 points, but the offense wasn't really clicking that well aside from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But then you get to the Sunday game where everyone's scoring. And imagine that team when everyone's scoring, but with Rob Williams, we win that game by 60. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. And Will, I don't know if you have any further comments about that.
No, I totally agree. I was really just bringing up that point because I only get scared of that because of the past. I really think
Because it's
he
happened.
is because it's
Exactly.
happened before, and like it's the whole like minutes restriction to production like numbers. It's just like it's such a screwy thing that happens with the Celtics and injuries. It's like I'm not afraid so much for Rob Will, but I am afraid of the whole idea because it's happened
Right.
before. Because I really think if he comes back, he's just going to fit in and it's going to happen. Like whatever we had in the past is going to sit there. So like it's not like that terrifying as it used to be, or like with our past players that have gotten hurt. It's just the thought that's there. Because then we're like, okay, well he's playing not injured, but he's playing off of an injury.
Exactly. And that's a whole different thing to take into fact is that it's not about if somebody else fits into the role well and they start clicking and they get a lot of momentum, but it's also when Rob Will comes back and he can only play 15 to 20 minutes the first couple of games and it's so inconsistent because we only run an 8-man rotation. So you don't want to be battling minute restrictions while you're playing in the playoffs. It's
No,
it's as it's as simple as that. But moving on, a team that we like to cover because they stink is the Lakers. 17 championships that don't matter. This is a big episode for teams that I hate, by the way, I guess. But 17 championships that don't matter. The Lakers currently in the 11 seed, 11 seed, 2 games behind, with 4 games left in the season. Stav, are the Lakers going to make the playoffs?
hell no. They're better without LeBron James. Like we saw yesterday, I didn't really watch the game, but I was box score watching whatever. Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook and AD had great games. Like I don't really want to take anything away from those guys. Like I have nothing against Westbrook. A lot of people do. I think Russell Westbrook's just in a bad situation. I've said that all year. He's in a bad situation. LeBron James does not make him better, and it's shown. He shot way better. He almost had a triple double last night, and they hung with the Nuggets. The Nuggets are a really good team. And, it kind of brings up the question, are the Lakers better without LeBron? What do you guys think?
Yes, and two things. One, shout out Darren because I was talking about this with him yesterday while we were on PlayStation, but he asked me the same exact question. And I was like, not only are the Lakers not going to make the playoffs, I would just like to rehash on the legacy because I feel like we always talk about LeBron here. And I hate how everyone's like, oh, he's a Laker great. Like, is he really, though? Like, he's been there for, 4 years, and he's going to miss playoffs, championship, first round exit, no playoffs potentially. Like, that's ass. Like, yes, they won a championship, but like it was a bubble.
Yeah, right. And they won a championship, the perfect year to do it for a team like that.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis coming back this late is like this is your last shot, kind of in a way, Willie. And like he came back way too late, to be honest. And LeBron, who's on the sideline as well, who knows what's wrong with him? But
Yeah,
like
I
post game
hate the whole
pressers,
situation. Like, it's so
it,
stupid, in my
well,
opinion. Like, I
well,
don't like anything about it.
exactly, and we never do because that's the case when LeBron loses. It's because he's hurt and Anthony Davis is hurt, right? Well, when AD is hurt the whole season and you're still playing and you're LeBron James, why are you not a top four seed? You're LeBron James and you were out, right? Like he was out what, like 15 games? So
Yeah,
what?
like, I
That's
don't know.
15
I
losses.
just
Add
think it's
another 20.
ridiculous.
Exactly. It really makes no sense because LeBron is supposed to be my GOAT, right?
No,
And
exactly. And I hate the whole supporting cast crap too, because Russell Westbrook, like, yes, we gave him tons of slack. Everyone has been giving him tons of slack. But you know what? I want to give him credit now. I actually want to take back some of the things that I said. I want to give him credit for playing through it. I know he said it the other night, but he's totally right. Like 100% right. Like he showed it last night. He played I mean, they lost.
right.
That was
But
embarrassing.
he
Like
had a
Jokic
great
dropped
game.
38, but he had a great game. Like he did his part, and he really showed what he was about. And he was like, "Hey, if no one else is going to step up, I need to because I'm still a star. Like we can't just take that away from him just yet." And the fact
I
that
think what
like it's just
go
the
for
fact
it.
that they don't even gel together, and then Carmelo got 17 too. Like what? Like I don't understand. Like they're playing well without LeBron, but then also when LeBron's on the court, these expectations are like this team should win a championship right now. But like it's not like that.
Right. Honestly, to answer Stopp's question, my answer is well, first off, let me re-say the question is are the Lakers better without LeBron? I think no. I think they suck both ways. I think they're just bad either way. I think they are as equal as bad. They've lost their last what, 7 games? 6 games. They've lost their last 6 games. They've lost a whole bunch of games before that. They're playing the Suns on Tuesday night. They're gonna lose to the Suns. It's the Suns, the 1 seed, the team that's most likely going to win the NBA championship. They're going to lose that. They're already 2 games behind the Spurs for that play-in game. They play Phoenix. They play the Warriors, who have been hot with Jordan Poole, who Jordan Poole has been a bucket. And then they play
Oh, yeah.
OKC, who they've actually OKC is like the Lakers Detroit Pistons,
Yeah, they're
like the
3-0
Celtics
in the
Detroit
season
Pistons.
series.
OKC is very good against the Lakers. And then they play Denver. They play 4 teams that are most likely going to beat them. They're done for the season. LeBron isn't my GOAT. I'm mad because we're talking about Coach K and Duke within like a 40-minute span. So I was starting to calm down, but now I'm back up. He is like not doing what he should be doing, to be honest. He's not carrying a team. This is his year to kind of cement it. I think it's crazy that MJ played like 10 years and LeBron's on year what, 18, 19, and we're
19.
debating a GOAT, right? Like he played 9 more years.
All I'm saying is Jordan wouldn't miss these games. If your team's on the verge of a playoff elimination
Scotty would
and
though.
you're Scott,
Well, obviously.
there's a reason why Scotty Pippen isn't considered a GOAT. But you have LeBron James, this guy who's making all this money, the face of the league, all this stuff, and he misses a game when you're on a skid against a Western Conference opponent, a playoff team, and you need to win to get into the play-in tournament. Never mind to get into the playoffs, the play-in tournament, in which he said he hated. The only reason why his season's still alive is because this play-in tournament's a thing. I'm curious to hear his comments if the Lakers make a play-in, which they won't. But I want a reporter to ask him: should the person who made the play-in game, should they still be fired? Because that's a direct quote from LeBron James. So, LeBron, buddy, what are you doing? You're letting your team down. Apparently, like you got a lot of
He's a
prepare. If the
Like-
Lakers don't make the play-in, he should never be considered a GOAT. That's my that. It solidifies. I don't care what he does for the rest of the career with this team with 4 Hall of Famers on it, not including LeBron. You got Russ, AD, Melo, Dwight Howard, 4 Hall of Famers to help you. The supporting cast is there. You have supporting players who would be buckets on other teams, and you see the other guys like Brandon Ingram going to New Orleans being a bucket, Kuzma getting his in Washington, Caruso getting his in Chicago.
Yes,
Guys
sir.
who are leaving the Lakers are becoming buckets and making a name for themselves in other franchises. Who are leaving LeBron, Lonzo Ball, another example. He was a little earlier. Guys who are leaving the Lakers are becoming great players, and they're leaving because of LeBron. Like we rarely see, we never saw guys leaving Jordan and becoming better players. Are you kidding me? When Scotty left, he wasn't the Scotty Pippen from the Bulls. You know, it's just like I don't see the argument for GOAT. Yeah, he has the personal accolades, but how can you be a GOAT if you can't win with Hall of Famers on your team?
No, I 100% agree. And my ultimate take to this too, my ultimate take, Lakers winning the bubble championship set the bar way, way too high for Lakers fans and the NBA itself. If the Lakers never won in the bubble and that never happened, the Lakers questions would not be here today. They would still be here, but at a very much lower scale, the normal LA scale. We are above and beyond the LA scale to the point where I don't even know where to rank this like type of like critic for the Lakers. Like it's like every single night, every single day, every single hour. It's like, is LeBron going to play? And then it's like, oh, let's make an April Fool's joke about LeBron not playing today. And then he like does, and it's like a whole scene. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are these antics? And if honestly, if they never won that championship, we wouldn't be talking about this today.
Yeah, I agree because other than that one championship run in Disney World, Disneyland, Disney World, Disneyland. Which one's in Orlando?
World.
World. It's World. It's definitely World.
Yeah, no, it's World.
After one run in Disney World at the ESPN Wide World of Sports, where you play an AAU tournament, LeBron James won his only championship with the Lakers. First off, his jersey's not going to get retired there. He's worn 2 different jersey numbers because I don't know if he thinks he's Kobe. I really don't know. Wait, no, yeah, right? Because he went from 23 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his hair stayed the same. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, like if you want to be Kobe, at least like win games, maybe. It's a disgrace to such a good franchise from Minneapolis with the Lakers who haven't actually really done that much since since Kobe. But before that it was Magic. And you can count or you can like go decade by decade, right? The star players from the Celtics and the Lakers. And it's crazy because it's like Magic, like I'm not gonna go all the way back because first off, I'm not even 20 years old, so I don't know like most of them. But Magic and Bird, and then it was Kobe and low-key Paul Pierce, who obviously isn't at the same level as Kobe, but he beat him in the championship, so I'm counting it. And then you go to this next era where it was like the Celtics were trying to find themselves, so were the Lakers. The Lakers got LeBron. And now the Celtics have Jason Tatum. And honestly, LeBron shouldn't even be in that conversation when you bring up Magic and Kobe when it comes to the Lakers. Maybe the rest of his career, I agree with, yes. But when it comes to the Lakers, keep LeBron's name out of your mouth when you bring up Kobe or Magic Johnson. Because as much as I hate that franchise and as much as I hate the color yellow and the color purple together, they have been very successful. They have had some of the greatest basketball players ever wear those jerseys. And I think LeBron, with the level that he's at, with what he entered that franchise at, right, potentially being the greatest of all time, he has been nothing but a letdown to Los Angeles. I think it's as simple as that. And LeBron James just hasn't lived up to what he's supposed to be, but he's chasing these personal accolades. The one that he's chasing right now is points all time. And that's why people still think he's good just because he's getting a lot of points. because that's what he needs for himself. It's kind of a disgrace to the purple and gold.
Before we transition to the next topic of the NBA that I want to talk about, LeBron is the luckiest person in the world that the bubble happened. If the bubble didn't happen, the Lakers wouldn't have won the championship. And if the Lakers didn't win the championship, LeBron would have the most. What would he be? 2-5 in the NBA Finals, or 3-5? What would he be?
Three.
He won 2 with the Heat, 1 with the. Yeah, he would have 3. He'd be 3-6 in the NBA Finals. Like he wouldn't be like. He's very lucky the bubble happened. And then speaking of
Mickey,
speaking of Mickey Mouse players, Ben Simmons is just ruled out through the play-in tournament, which isn't really much of a surprise to me. However, what does this mean for the Nets? Do you think that they can be a bounce in the play-in tournament? Because now kind of seeing how this team has crumbled, especially as of late, even with Kyrie fully playing, what do we think here? Because I have a hot take that I want to talk about after. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that the Nets, like we're talking about disgraces today. So we got Duke, the Lakers, and now the Nets this season. They shouldn't be in the play-in. Kyrie's played half the games. KD's been on and off with injuries. Kevin Durant, a man I will never disrespect, actually, as much as everybody else likes to disrespect him. Kevin Durant, greatest scorer of all time. He's a bucket. I don't think I've ever seen him miss a shot. Kyrie, when he's on fire. The issue with these two guys is they just don't know how to actually play basketball. Like they know how to play basketball. They don't know how to get on a court and play basketball. On Wednesdays at 7:30 at night. They don't play games. So the Nets, that's why they're in the play-in. With Ben Simmons, you traded James Harden. James Harden's doing pretty well in Philly. I honestly haven't really heard much from Philly since the whole free throw fiasco with Joel Embiid shooting 75 free throws a game. So I haven't really heard much from over there. So clearly it's going good. That's the way it should be in Philly because nobody actually cares about Philadelphia and the 76ers. But with the Nets, Ben Simmons, we said it was a win on both sides. Ben Simmons may never play again. Like, why is he out in the first place? He was out because he wanted to get traded. He got traded, and then he had to work out and like get back in shape. Why are you not in shape? If he's not in shape, that means something is wrong with him. I don't think Ben Simmons will ever play again, ever. I don't like he's not showing me any signs that he's making any progress to return. In my head, he hasn't played basketball since he was practicing with the Sixers in preseason with his phone in his pocket. He's probably terrible at basketball. He's good at defense, but honestly, he's never been able to shoot a ball. I think having Ben Simmons out is a favor for this year because there's going to be no chemistry.
I kind of agree with you on the Ben Simmons part where, like, why wasn't he ready? Why wasn't he playing basketball? Why isn't he practicing? This is your job. Like, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day,
He has to be hurt somehow, right?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. There's no other reasons. I understand there's possibly like other like mental health issues that there's being raised in this situation here. But like other than that, I totally understand all of this stuff. It's just like this is like your job. Like imagine someone going to their 9 to 5 and then they were just like did this. They're like, oh, sorry, I just didn't like do anything beforehand to like come into work today. Oh yeah, sorry, I just didn't print out any of those things. Like how do you just do that? Like do you like that you get fired? Like you literally get fired. Like he got traded to the Nets. That's like a blessing.
That's fun. That's awesome. Yeah,
like that's like a
he
blessing.
Got traded to a team that has
like,
Kevin Durant on it.
That's like getting a dream job and then getting traded and then getting a better job than your dream job. Like
that's like going out of that's like getting out of college, making 6 figures, but then in 5 years you go to a different place, you make 7 figures, and you are rich.
Yeah, no, literally.
That's what Ben Simmons did, but
he's played like 3
he just
seasons.
didn't want to. Not even. He
no, I know
play.
it's ridiculous. And then the whole Nets situation. To answer Styles' question, like I honestly do think they're kind of a bounce because they're so inconsistent. Yet, if they actually do bring it together, they could actually be dangerous. It's just the whole KD being scary in the playoff situation is really what raises that point.
So I want to give my hot take. If the Nets cannot get the 7 or 8 seed, they will lose in the play-in. They will lose that first game. Because one and done, anything can happen. And you're facing a team like Charlotte, who is so consistently average that you know what you're going to get out of them. And if you can match them, the random off night for someone, like the Nets are done. One loss, you're done. They need to get into the 7th or 8th. I don't think it's possible that they can get the 7th. However, I know that they can get the 8th. If they can't get the 8th, they're going to lose in that first play game.
I think that their loss to the Hawks to bounce them out of a potential 6 or 5 seed, that meant a lot. And that showed a lot about that team, that they can't go in and win a big game. And I agree with you, Stav. I think if they don't have 2 chances to get in, you can't be so sure about their 1 chance. And if they're fighting for that 8 seed and they're the 9 or the 10, they have to go out, excuse me, they have to win a game, and then they have to win another. And that's difficult. When you are one and done in the NBA, which has never happened until the bubble, or was it after the bubble? No, it was in the bubble. It's very difficult. You can't rely on your team in the NBA to just win 1 game. This isn't the NFL. You don't play once a week. You play once every other day. You're relying on 7-game series. The ball could go either way. And that's why I love March Madness. And that's why I honestly really enjoy this play-in tournament as well. Because a team like this could lose in the 9 versus the 10 to the Hornets. Because who knows? It's 1 game. It could just fall your way. I think that the Nets are going to find their way in the playoffs, however, because at the end of the day, it's the Brooklyn Nets. It's KD. It's Kyrie. And the reason I'm saying is because if they don't, that's just terrible. Like, that's an awful season. You mark that season off as 2 losses. That's not 1 loss. Not making the playoffs. This is a team that should be, like, if we're not in the championship, then this season is a loss. But right now, with a couple of games left in the season, you're playing a big game on a Tuesday night against the Houston Rockets to try to get in the 7 versus the 8 game. That's embarrassing when KD and Kyrie are on your team.
It's so weird to think about, though. Like, sorry, stop. Like, it's so weird.
No, you go.
It's so weird. Sorry, it's so weird to think that that's like a real thing, and like the whole play-in thing. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I like the play-in, but I also don't. Like, there's so many pros and cons to it. Like, I don't know. I like sometimes, in my opinion, sometimes new rules just ruin the game so much for me personally. Like, then it's just like, especially like in like big conversations, like going back to LeBron, like quickly, they're like, oh, he had to play in, like just like small stuff like that. Like, that's such like a ruiner.
Team should. I agree, because look at the Nets. Like, Kyrie made a decision to put himself before the team when it came to the vaccination thing, knowing damn well that he can't play in New York. And by having a plan, you reward selfish behavior. Not talking about just vaccines right away, but like players sitting out, teams benching their star players and stuff like, oh, we can afford to lose 7 games in a row because we can be the 10 seed and then make a run in the playoffs. Like, although it's not guaranteed to win, if you're a good team like the Nets, who have been who have kind of disobeyed rules in a sense, they're getting rewarded right now. They're a 10 seed. Prior years, they would not be even close in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So the play-in rewards teams for allowing their players to be selfish.
Right. And it's embarrassing when there's a must-win game ahead of you, and you have Kyrie Irving, you have Kevin Durant, and you have these names on the team that are supposed to be big-time guys. And and I'm going back to the Hawks game because this is their biggest game of the season, in my opinion. 2 teams that were neck and neck with each other. They're fighting for a chance to escape the play-in, maybe fall into a 6 seed. It's doable. And they lost. And the worst part about this game is that Kyrie had 31, KD had 55. They combined for 86 points, and they lost the game. There are so many other players on this team that need to step up, and that includes, honestly, because they need it, Nick Claxton off the bench, who only had 4 points, who's a power forward / center, who had a lot of potential. Do you guys remember when the Nets were young and fun with D'Lo and all these other different little pieces that are now no longer on the Nets? Nick Claxton was one of those guys where it was like Jared Allen and Nick Claxton could be like an awesome front court to watch. And Nick Claxton off the bench now, who got 24 minutes in this game, he got 7 boards. He only put up 4 points. He had a positive plus minus, and Andre Drummond didn't. In my opinion, he outplayed Andre Drummond. He's outplayed him since Andre Drummond has been here. They're not giving guys chances just because of youth. And I think this team is kind of in the hands of KD because Steve Nash, such a young coach, I don't think he earned the respect of this locker room at all. And
No,
it's the
not
same
a,
case with all these
it's,
teams. And there's so many different issues with the Nets, and that's why they're
that's
not winning.
embarrassing. Steve Nash is an embarrassment, to be honest.
And I love Steve Nash.
He should have just not coached.
Canadian hero.
Like this kind of tarnishes a little bit of his like basketball mind and stuff. He can't command anything from the Nets locker room. Like he has no control over what these guys do. You know, you got Ben Simmons, a guy who's set to make a lot of money, who you traded James Harden for, not going to play. Kyrie, KD say and do whatever the hell they want. They don't really play defense at all. Like, they don't really have an identity other than hope KD can be great.
He can drop 70.
Speaking of selfishness, this is just kind of a shocking stat. Moving on to our last point about the NBA. I was reading a little bit about Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz. Apparently, yeah, there's a lot of tension there. Donovan Mitchell is probably going to be out of Utah. Donovan Mitchell averages 2 passes a game to Rudy Gobert, the starting center on that team. Not assists, 2 passes. Like, coincidentally, a pass off of a pick and roll. Nope. There's 2 of those a game, and they play a majority of their minutes together. What do you guys think of that? Do you guys think that's actually something to be concerned about if I'm a Jazz fan?
I was actually really into this the other night. I saw they were playing a game. I don't know if it was their last game, but Rudy Gobert had like a very, very, very visible mismatch where not only was it like a smaller guy on him, it was a point guard on him. I don't remember exactly who it was, but I think he was around like 6 feet tall. Rudy Gobert is 7'1", and Donovan Mitchell just has the ball in his hands. He's dribbling. Rudy Gobert is the only person in the paint with this point guard. Donovan Mitchell looks at him and then starts dribbling and walks over to the left. I think this is crazy out of Utah. I think it makes sense out of Utah. A lot of these teams, you can see how they get along, right? You can see the Celtics, they're all around the same age. The Suns, they're kind of all young too with CP3. Honestly, I look at CP3 with that team. It's gonna sound weird. I look at him like a dad of that team, and it works, right? Because they rock with him. CP3 is their leader. It's like Toy Story, all the aliens. CP3 is the claw of that team. But when we're out here talking about teams like that don't have chemistry, don't have an identity, it's because of superstars, right? And there's superstars that buy in. And then there's superstars that are really about themselves. I'll name a few: KD, Kyrie, LeBron James, Coach K, even though he's not in the NBA and he's coach. It's like I don't know how people are so confused about why the Nets are bad, to be honest. Because it's like, oh, they dropped 86 combined points. But also the 7 other guys that played in that game that were wearing a Brooklyn jersey do not like being there. It's obvious because you're playing on superstars. You're like, okay, like let's go win a championship, right? And then these superstars aren't playing half of the time. And the coach, who's Steve Nash, who was one of the greatest point guards while we were growing up, who pretty much a basketball icon, especially in Canada, which is also in North America. He is a big name. If you can't get the respect of that locker room and you're a name like Steve Nash, then we should have been throwing up these red flags a long time ago. And we bring them up, right? We bring them up throughout the end stretch, but it's the whole season, guys. It's been the whole season, and it was the whole season last year. Even when they're good, you cannot rely on them to win a series. The Brooklyn Nets should honestly, in my opinion, blow things up. And I'm sorry if I keep saying honestly. I feel like I keep saying the same phrases, but
You're being
they
honest.
should. I'm just being honest, I really think that the Nets should blow things up. I think that KD should go find somewhere. I know we were talking about the Jazz, but I ran off. KD should go find somewhere else. And this relates back to the Jazz, too. They don't have an identity. It's because of their superstars. It's Rudy Gobert. It's Donovan Mitchell. How would those guys relate? Will, tell me how they would relate. Be honest. Because I'm being honest.
They actually hate each other, and it's like so funny. And like, I really want to move on to the MLB, but before we get there, I remember saying this episodes ago on how I just don't like Steve Nash as a head coach. Love him as a player. I just never thought he was the right fit. Never thought he was good. I never thought his
We've talked about
situational
this multiple times, Will.
Yeah, I just never thought his situational, like play to play as a coach, would ever be successful just because of the group of guys he's around. Maybe if you threw him on a different team, it would be different.
I agree. A young
just
team.
don't think
The Thunder.
First time.
Shout out Darren. Darren would love me running off on the Nets a couple minutes ago. Sorry.
That would seem like a good fit. I don't think as a first time coach as young as Steve Nash should be coaching someone like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And that's no disrespect to him. It's just they are too old for him.
They are. They're like around his age.
Yeah, like which is weird to say. It's just like it's Kevin Durant. Like
it's like the Tom Brady
much.
with Sean McVay, how Tom Brady is older than Sean McVay. Like when you're getting these guys who are top 3 in the league, which Kevin Durant is, and the greatest scorer of all time, and you're Steve Nash, and Kevin Durant has been beating up on you in the NBA for years. I bet every single time Steve Nash had to switch on to KD got a bucket. When they did play towards the end of Steve Nash's career. You're not going to get the respect from him. And this is a big respect episode, guys, because first off, I don't respect Coach K. I don't respect LeBron. I don't respect Steve Nash as a coach. I love him as a player. And to finish off my words on the Jazz, they need to blow that up as well. The Nets and the Jazz both need to blow things up. Donovan Mitchell is going to be a Celtic. Rudy Gobert is going to play in the French league. He only wins depoy because he's French, and that rises the audience of French viewers. I know your algorithm, NBA. You're not fooling anybody. Marcus Smart depoy. Rob Will most improved and all defensive first team. Jason Tatum all NBA first team. JB all NBA third team. Don't sleep on me. Al Horford is going to be our player and coach if Ime Udoka ever fails us. That's all I have to say about the NBA for this episode.
All right. And I think that's a perfect transitioning point to the MLB. Boys, it's opening week. Opening day is Thursday. And I can't be more excited. We got Nasty Nate going into Yankee Stadium to absolutely embarrass the fraudulent Yankees. I cannot wait to see the Yankees fans cry. The amount of times this offseason that I've seen disrespect from the Yankees when they have no place to disrespect the Red Sox, especially after we embarrassed them in the wild card game. Right? Let me remind you of Aaron Judge getting thrown out at the plate. The Yankees are terrible, and I cannot wait for Nate Eovaldi to do the same thing that he did in the wild card game. 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, Garrett Cole getting pulled in the 3rd inning because Trevor Story is going to take him 450 feet dead center. Rafi Devers is going to win AL MVP. The Red Sox are going to win the World Series. I don't care that they're losing in spring trading. I don't really care. Bye-bye, Yankees. Thanks for the free wins in the opening series.
Well, first off, stop. I'm glad you got that off your chest. The way that you presented that, I feel like you've been holding that in for a while. So I just want to thank you for getting that one out.
This is a safe space.
There's no better way to open up a year. And I think I'd rather play this first series at Yankee Stadium than I would at Fenway Park. The only reason I'd want them to play the first series at Fenway Park is so that I could attend it. I don't ever plan on going to Yankee Stadium in my life. Trashy stadium, trashy franchise. Don't like the way the pinstripes look. I'd rather see them wear gray on the road. Nasty Nate owns New York, the whole state, not even just the Bronx. He owns the whole state, even the west part, like Buffalo region. It's going to be a great opening to our year. And if we split, if we go 2-3, if we go 3-2, or 3-1, or wait, 2-1, 1-2, excuse me, because it's a 3-game slate. I think no matter what, I'm happy. I'm just happy that baseball is back. I'm happy that I'm looking at a Yankee on my screen and I'm mad because whenever I see the NY on somebody's hat, I literally get mad. I don't like seeing people wear Yankees hats. I don't know what it is. Whenever I see anything Yankees
It's
on, I
disgusting.
hate it.
Like,
My roommate is a Yankees fan. I made him he was like hanging up his jersey. Honestly, he wasn't hanging up his jersey on the wall. He was hanging up his jersey like on the shelf in our dorm, like where you hang like shirts and stuff. I was like, dude, just fold that and put it in your dresser. Nobody wants to see pinstripes in this room. This isn't a pinstripe room. I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to wake up and be pissed off, right? Like, I want to wake up. I want to see a bee on my hat. I forgot what hat I was wearing. I'm still wearing a rival hat, but these guys are cool.
nah, Blue Jays hats are
There's
clean.
no better way, William, to open up a season than against the New York Yankees. They are trash. I'm just happy. I'm happy, Will. How do you feel?
I don't even have words. I'm just ready to soak in hours and hours of Red Sox baseball. I just hate the Yankees. I hate everything about them. I hate all the disrespect, like Stav said. I'm on the same exact boat as you. I just only see disrespect because what else would they be doing to us in the first place? They only give us disrespect. And I feel like we do give them hate, but I feel like we are just so much more respectful human beings to that organization than we should be. And they're just like, oh, we have like 26 rings. Like, congrats. Maybe win one in recent memory. Like,
Maybe win one before my grandfather was born, or after my grandfather was
yeah,
born.
like let's get some recency around here for once. The other part is I just want to see everyone back on the field. I want to see Story. I want to see everyone in spring training. Like, who cares? Everyone loses games in spring training. It's spring training for a reason.
You guys want to
What
know?
a joke. Oh, hold on.
Stuff.
I'm going to go.
Yeah.
What a joke the Yankees are. Like, I feel like they don't get enough hate from across the league. They are such a joke. Like, the fact that their fans say 27 rings as a comeback is just so disgusting. Like, shut up. Like, what are you talking about 27 rings for, buddy? You haven't won since 2009. And every single year, it's the same narrative. Oh, this is the year of the 28th ring or bust. And they lose in the wild card every single year or the next round. Like, if they don't win this year, blow it up. I don't care. Time to rebuild. They have all the money in the world. Apparently, there's no cap in baseball. Like, go sign Mike Trout, go sign Shohei, go sign all these guys because that's what they're going to do anyways. And they'll still lose because they're a losing culture. They suck. They have nothing. Red Sox.
How are they losing culture if you have 27 rings? Like,
yeah, exactly. Congrats
Shut up.
on literally nothing. Like, Derek Jeter, overrated.
I hate that whole thing. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Derek Jeter, overrated. Mariano Rivera, 3-0 lead. The Red Sox came back, like you said earlier in the episode, Griff, while the Yankees just suck.
They're just so bad. That's like Celtics fans saying, "Oh, we won 11 in a row. You guys had to like stop us from playing basketball because we were so good." Like, congrats. Like why would I ever? I wasn't even close to born.
Getting the bad juju out of the air for talking about the Yankees, but you don't hear Celtics fans talk about the Bill Russell rings. Then why the fuck do the bleep that out? Sorry. Why do the Yankees talk about the 27
keeping
rings
that in? I'm so keeping that in.
When Mickey Mantle was playing, like, how many of those guys in the 27 rings, they're dead now. Like, those guys are all dead. Like, don't talk about rings when no one on that active roster is still alive. Or, like, nobody is still alive on that team. None of the fans are still alive on that team. Like, all the people who watch those games are, like, dead now. Like, it's just... I'm sorry.
I asked someone here who their favorite Yankee of all time was because I was mad one night and they were wearing a Yankees hat, and he said Joe DiMaggio. I was like, oh, you watched him in the 40s? You've never even seen him play. They didn't have footage. They actually didn't have footage. Like, because we were like, you know, when you get in beef with a Yankees fan, you just start naming players. Like, so I was like, I'm gonna be honest. My favorite player of all time. A lot of people say David Ortiz. A lot of people say Petey. I have a weird favorite player of all time, and it's Josh Beckett. I don't know why. Josh Beckett was my childhood. Him and Jonathan Papelbon, the dynamic duo, Papelbon coming out of the bullpen was electric. He's honestly probably Beckett might be my favorite player of all time. Like, that year that they won it all was like the beginning of my love for baseball. So like he's the reason, and you can ask Will Stop. Throughout the years of these playoff runs, I have had the weirdest favorite players on teams.
Yeah.
Like Brock Holt was my favorite
He's a
player.
legend.
He's a fan. Yeah,
This
He's a
past year
fan
was
legend.
the which, by the way, we should sign him back. The
Yeah.
past year where we almost made it, my favorite player was Hirokazu Sawamura. 2018, it was Joe Kelly.
The crazy part
but
is we went to the game like to start the season off like very early against the Mariners, and Hirokazu Sawamura came in the game, and me and Griffin were the only
that
people
was it.
screaming his name in the whole ballpark. And like I think they had a walk off that game too. I think we lost that game because they hit. Yeah, that game was wild. Yeah, and then we were also the only people screaming Bobby Dahlbeck as he was going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Like
We were big Bobby Dahlbeck guys in the first
Bobby Dahlbeck owns Yankee Stadium. Yankee
100%.
Stadium is going to be known as the house that Bobby.
It's a
Dahlbeck
hittable
owns
ballpark.
because he just
The house
absolutely
that Bobby
rakes in that
destroyed.
ballpark. Yeah, yeah, that's better. The house that Bobby Dahlbeck absolutely embarrassed. He's gonna take his
He
shoes
built
off,
Bobby destroyed.
put his feet up on the. He's gonna keep his shoes on, put his feet up on the couch, and say, "F you, Garrett Cole. I'm gonna hit 2 dingers off of you in the first 3 innings because they're gonna go through the lineup twice already." Like, wow, Garrett Cole is terrible. Like the Yankees are terrible. I'm just so excited. Like, wow. And unfortunate news. I'll just throw this in here as a quick blurb. Chris Sale is on the 60-day IL to start the year. He can return earliest in June. Kind of surprising. Not really surprising. He loves the 60-day
It's
IL.
not surprising. He loves the 60-day IL.
Yeah.
He lives there. The 68,
Yeah.
he's the king of the 60-day IL. Well, he's also 6'6" and 48 pounds. So, like, it's not a big surprise that he can't maintain healthy. Like, he is the size of Hakeem Olajuwon and the weight of Muggsy Bogues. So, like, it really makes sense on why he can't remain healthy. Somebody needs to get him on a bigger diet. But some players that I'm excited for this year. I'll just name a couple. I almost just named the whole team, but I'll name three. I'll name 3 players. TK, Verdugo. Those are my 2 big guys in the outfield this year. I need Kike to perform at the level he was performing last year, and I need Verdugo to perform a little bit ahead of what he was performing last year for them to be marked down as a successful year. My third guy, a dark horse for the Red Sox this year, is Kevin Plawecki. He's going to play a lot of games. He's going to DH a lot. In my the way that I'm looking at this team, Plawecki's going to DH a lot when JD Martinez is taking his off games. He's going to catch in that rotation with Vasquez. Plawecki's a big hitter, and he's hit a lot of big, or he's had a lot of big hits for us in the regular season and a couple in the postseason when he came in to pinch hit. Kevin Plawecki's a big name. I'm scared of our bullpen. I'm not as scared of our rotation, but I don't think I'll ever be satisfied with our bullpen. I don't know if you guys think that our bullpen is capable of anything, but as I'm looking at it right now, I know I love Sawamura, but he is our 5th best pitcher out of the bullpen. Maybe fourth, because I honestly think Hansel Robles is terrible. Sawamura, like I know his ceiling, and his ceiling is like a 6 ERA. So like, is there something that I'm missing out of this bullpen, or do we really need to make a move?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think I'm more confident in the bullpen this year than I was last year. I mean, we bring in guys like Matt Strahm and Jake Diekman who are pretty good relievers. Like I trust those guys to come in, pitch an inning when we need them. And we still have Garrett Whitlock, who probably might slide into that closer role. I mean, Matt Barnes, if he can figure his stuff out, I trust him. Like, there's still 4 solid guys there. I mean, Hansel Robles really did choke a lot last year, but he has a fast fastball, so sometimes he can come in and play well. But I think they still should make a move, like relatively speaking. Maybe even move one of the guys, like when Paxton comes back, maybe he'll be in the bullpen. Waka, maybe Rich Hill. So there's still some room that they can move guys around, especially when Chris Sale comes back. One of the starters will move into the bullpen, and I think I kind of wanted to bounce off of what you were saying.
Starters lag out.
I was lagging at the minimum, so I'll continue on with his. I'm scared that he's going to come back and continue talking. Here we go. He's back. We got you.
Where did you leave off? Where I lagged?
we were at the part where you were like, you were pretty much like basically back to what we were saying, like about the bullpen.
Okay. All right. So kind of bouncing off of what you were saying about 3 guys that I want to see perform opening week, opening day, and throughout the season. Trevor Story, 1. Like, this guy has the expectations for the first time in his career through the roof. Like, he's coming into the biggest market that he's ever played in. Obviously, he played in Colorado, where the light's never really on you in Colorado. Now you come to Boston. You got the entire city rooting for you. Everyone's watching you. Opening series against New York. That's how you get the entire fan base to love and respect you. You go into Yankee Stadium and disrespect them. Like, that's what we want to see. So that's 1. 2, Rafi Devers, obviously. Like, he needs to play like the AL MVP that we know he can be. There can't be certain points in the season where he goes through this huge drought. The MVPs don't have droughts. And my 3rd guy that I really want to see, I kind of mentioned this in the bullpen, Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes needs to be the first half Matt Barnes that we saw last year.
That's very true. That is very true. Matt Barnes is, I think I brought it up a couple episodes ago. Matt Barnes he has to be consistent or we're screwed. He has to be our 9th inning guy every single time that we need him. And he's done it before, so it's not as big of an ask as it would be to ask someone other. Like Matty Backpacks is legit. Like, he could be an elite closer. He's done it before. And the only issue with him was just that last year he was awful. And we had the Big O come in, and we had a lot of big games from the Big O. That's why I'm sad to see him go. But that means we're putting our trust into Matty Backpacks, And he's a guy that we genuinely need. We need him. We can't have him fall behind in these 9th innings. We can't have him blow any saves. We need Matt Barnes because the reason we've won a lot of games in the past, in my opinion, the reason we've won every close game in the past couple of years is because of Matt Barnes pitching. He's been on. He has been on for the past few years, other than last year, second half of the season. Before that, he was automatic. Like, he came in and we were like, okay, the game's over. Like, he is an all-star. He could be a superstar closer. We didn't see it from him last year. We didn't make any moves. We're putting our trust into him. We need him to succeed. The Sox opening up as the 11th in the power rankings from ESPN. The other AL East opponents, we got the Blue Jays at 2, actually. The Dodgers are first. We got the Yankees at 6. The Rays at 9, and the Orioles in last place. Have fun down there the whole season. I don't know if they'll win a game.
Yeah, agreed. Will?
Yeah, nothing about the O's. They stink.
They're not even a franchise worth talking about, to be honest.
Actually,
I've been
they
honest,
are worth talking about.
very honest this whole.
Hold on.
Badly.
Well, however, one thing that the Orioles have done right, they provided housing for their minor league players. Like, they have provided a fully furnished apartment for each one of their players. They're the first team to do that. So, round of applause to the Orioles. They spent more on their studio apartments than they spent on their team. So, moving on to the NFL, right? Any final remarks, or are we good for the NFL?
No, I'm ready for the NFL.
All right. NFL, 2 trades we want to talk about. We'll kind of go quick here because we still have to talk about the Masters. Patriot trade for Devontae Parker, kind of a shocking trade. You never really expect to see interdivision trades. And they gave up a 3rd round pick for Parker and received, obviously, Devontae Parker and a 5th. Does this make the Patriots better, or what do we think? They're the same or they're better?
Willie?
I want to say they're better. Devontae Parker's kind of injury prone. I like him. I think it's great. Like, I think, like, if he can stay healthy, this is a great trade for us. Like, if he can really prove his part for us, I still think we need to make more moves. I'm not content yet, but I think we still have a few more things to do before we get into the season. Obviously, we have plenty of time. It's just it would be some urgency would be nice given Miami's moves and the Bills in our division. But like, I like it. I don't really have any complaints. The only complaint is just making more moves.
All right, Griff, outside perspective, I'm
Yeah,
interested in what you guys think.
outside perspective, outside the five here. Jacoby Myers being your wide receiver one still not a good thing. Jacoby Myers, one of my favorite players on this football team. He's not a wide receiver one. I love him at the wide receiver two. I absolutely love him at the wide receiver three. I think Devontae Parker could fit into a wide receiver two role. I think that the Patriots should 100% draft a wide receiver in this draft. Um, I don't think that they should focus on any other offensive position. I think they have one of the best running back rooms in the league. I think Mac Jones is a great quarterback. They need to draft a wide receiver one. I would like to see them draft one in the first round, even though it's never worked out ever. Why not take another chance? If you fail, so what? What else do you need for this team? Um, a lot a lot is to be said about this move. I didn't think the Dolphins were going to ever trade with the Patriots because if the Patriots see something in someone, then you should honestly just say no. Like if the Pats were the one that reached out about this trade, which they probably were, because the Dolphins most likely didn't call the Patriots and be like, yo, we need a third rounder. Like, what do you want for a third rounder? Patriots most likely reached out to them, right, to get Devontae Parker. They have trust in this guy, and that's dangerous because when Bill Belichick puts his trust in someone, he's either elite or he's terrible. That's why N'Keal Harry is your wide receiver seven. And that's another name. N'Keal Harry shouldn't be wearing the blue, red, and white in New England. I don't want him in my state as someone that's not a fan of the Patriots. I don't want him in my state. I don't think he should be playing football for this football team. I think they're too good for him. Get rid of N'Keal, maybe trade him for like a seventh rounder. Go pick up a wide receiver in the first or second round, and you guys are set. You're a nice, young, fun team. Get a couple more picks on that defense. Pick a wide receiver first, second round. Focus on the defense and the rest. That's my full opinion on this Patriots team for the rest of the offseason.
Noting about how the interest came about Devontae Parker, I hear that there was mutual interest between Devontae Parker and the Patriots. I heard Parker actually did want to come to the Patriots. However, I do think you're right about Bill Belichick calling first. I think Belichick called, and Devontae Parker's like, trade me to the Patriots. I don't want to be here anymore. So that's how I think it came to fruition. And here's the kind of moving on to the next subject. The Eagles and the Saints literally just swapped a bunch of draft picks. I think it's kind of interesting to talk about. The Saints received the 16th pick and the 19th pick this year from the Eagles, along with the 194th pick. And the Eagles received the 18th pick this year, 101 this year, 237 this year, next year's first round pick, and a 24 second round pick. The Saints win that trade, right? They get 2 first round picks this year. You win now.
Yes.
That's how you.
Yes.
I
win
want to
now,
say
worry about later.
I actually
Yes.
disagree.
Okay. I could see that.
I only disagree because this franchise has virtually no money.
Right.
They're paying players tons and tons of cash. They've had to give away players. They're on a very bad end of the stick in terms of their franchise. They're not really heading in a direction. They're kind of just staying the same, if not like getting worse, but also kind of getting a little bit better. So they're staying in the middle. I feel like giving up draft capital while needing to rebuild and not having money is such a bad idea. Yet they're gaining better picks, which you can see as a win. But like realistically, like what are they going to end up doing?
Will, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to agree with you. I think that the Eagles win this trade. The Eagles know exactly what they're doing, in my opinion.
That's what I was thinking.
Very
I was
honest
like, the Eagles
episode.
are gaining more.
They're getting the 18th pick. They gave up the 16th and the 19th. They're getting a first round pick for next year. So adding a little bit, this is a young team that wants to continue to get young or to stay young. They're getting a second round pick in 2 years. They only gave up. So ready. They're getting 2 first rounders. They're getting a second rounder, a third rounder, and a seventh rounder. They gave up 2 first rounders and a sixth rounder. First off, they're getting 2 more picks. They're getting back a first rounder, or they're kind of swapping out first rounders. Just one's not this year. The Saints, this is the big reason why I think the Eagles won it. I think it's that the Saints lost it. The Saints have 2 picks. What are they going to pick at 16 and 19? They're not going to pick a quarterback. They just signed Jameis. Are they going to pick 2 defensive pieces? You can go out and you can get a starting defensive player in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round to be.
Yeah.
Say.
Honestly,
But, well, be honest.
honestly, I think the Eagles had their eye on a guy, and they're like, 16 pick might be too early. 19 might be a little too much of a reach. Get right in the middle at 18, and you found your guy.
Well, that's it. That is definitely it. Well, you unlocked the code.
And they were just like, why don't we just have a bunch more picks too? Because like we don't need 16 and 19 because our guy is the 18th guy.
Both teams lost. Like, could you say that? Because the Eagles suck, and so do the Saints.
Yeah.
So, like, what are the
feel like
Saints?
we need-
What are the Saints going to do with these 2 first-round picks? That's going to make them a playoff like team.
Well, the NFC sucks, so maybe something
Like
Not
they
the
can fit
18th
into the
guy though. It's
17th.
not the 18th guy
It's
though.
not
Like
the
that.
They don't want the But like I think
I
it's
to be honest, I didn't even want to bring this trade up. It's one of those things where it's like, oh,
so many
congrats
picks.
that it's like, oh, congrats that this happened, or sorry that this happened. Like, I don't really care to read the entire thing. Like, too many. Just how do you come to this agreement? Like,
That's
if
so
you're
many
two
picks.
GMs, if you're a GM and you're sitting and talking to, like, if I'm the Saints GM and I'm talking to the Eagles GM, it's like, all right, let's trade, and then you come up with this. What? Like, good job, I guess. Like, the way to be very mid.
I want to know what like Eagles fans have to say about this because they just hate everything that the Eagles do. Like they just hate every moment in their lives except for when Nick Foles beat the Pats. Like they don't even like love that either. Like they just don't like anything. And then like the Saints are just like, I don't know, we signed Jameis.
Yeah, like you signed Jameson, then you signed Andy Dalton, and you have Ian Book and Blake Bortles as well, and Taysom Hill. You have 5 quarterbacks that could honestly play a game for the Houston Texans. You don't have a running back because one's in jail and the other one's Mark Ingram. Michael Thomas is never going to be healthy. Marquise Callaway is a bright spot of that team, as is Traquan Smith. Your tight end stinks. Your offensive line is old. Your defense is old. Your
Kamara's in
team
jail.
is bad.
Just like that's just like such a mess. And honestly,
There's nothing good there. So why would you just try to go get 2 first rounders? Like, why wouldn't you try to keep your future?
I don't like it. Doesn't make sense. And honestly,
They're
Michael
going to draft a
Thomas.
cornerback and a wide receiver.
No, like
in the first round. It's going to be so stupid. It's going to be so stupid. They're going to draft 2 stupid picks.
I don't understand Michael Thomas. Like, before
what's
we
wrong with
close
that
up,
guy?
that dude has the meanest ankle injury of all time.
All time.
Like it puts everyone's ankle injuries to shame. Like I am very prone to ankle injuries, and like that I don't understand how bad that could possibly be.
He's out forever.
Like you can't
He's
run
like
a
Ben
slant
Simmons,
without
except
your
Ben
ankle.
Simmons isn't actually hurt. He's just not in shape.
That, you know what? You might have nailed that one. And that's why they don't like the 18th guy. They want the 16th and the 19th guy.
But that's why I'm here. Well, I'm just here to be honest.
And it's a very honest episode.
It's such an honest episode, and that's why I hate the Saints too, because they honestly spend way too much money on a team that was formed around Drew Brees that was 75 years old. Like he played in Purdue. He played at Purdue when Purdue was founded. So I don't know why they put so much money around Drew Brees and then expected just like get someone right when Drew Brees left. Like you have Jameis Winston, and he's not a Super Bowl. I love Jameis Winston. He's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he's a 30 for 30 guy. He's 30 TDs, 30 picks. He's not here to wow you. Well, he is here to wow you with some awful plays and some great plays, but he's not here to actually win football games. And the Saints spent way too much money. That franchise is like low-key screwed because of what they did to themselves. Getting 2 first-round picks isn't going to help it because if one of them pan out, they're not going to be able to pay them. So the Saints done. The Eagles, the reason I like the move for them, this is my final remarks on this trade. The reason I like the move for them is because the Eagles spread out their pick for 1 more year. They're going to get a nice young guy this year. They're going to get a nice young guy next year and have 2 first rounders again. So the Eagles know they're not going to do anything this year. That's exactly what that trade meant for them. So let's build up for the future. Let's pull an OKC Thunder. And I think that's the only reason why I have the Eagles winning this trade.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I think both franchises are mid and won't accomplish anything. So congrats on swapping for absolutely nothing.
Honestly, we talked way too much about that trade.
Because
Like that trade just pissed me
yeah,
off.
honest,
But,
I have nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Inside the Five, where we talk about
How
meaningless
honestly.
NFL trades.
Like
And
nobody else is
like-
talking about this trade.
Like,
Nope.
No one. Nobody cares.
Yeah. If you're an Eagles or a Saints fan, you're welcome because we're giving your terrible franchise some shine.
And like Drew
This
Brees
is
though,
spoiler
when he was
alert.
old and you wasted too much money on that team when he was too old.
Yep.
And the Eagles,
You hate money.
I have nothing good to say about you. Except that you won this trade. So that's it. Do you guys have anything else?
Nope, I'm done. I'm pissed
No.
off about this. That we spent too much time on this. My bad for bringing that up.
I'm mad.
no,
Okay.
I'm
you
not
know what?
even
You know what?
mad that we talked about it. I'm just mad that like there were so many things that we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna wrap up the things I was mad about in this episode, so I can just no longer be mad about it. I was mad about Duke. I was mad about Coach K. That's 2 in 1. I was mad about the Lakers. I was mad about LeBron. I was mad about AD. We're at 5 guys. I was mad about the Yankees. Mad about Garrett
The Nets.
Cole. I'm on my second hand. Oh, yep, the Nets. I'm not
Steve
mad at
Nash.
KD, Kyrie, Steve Nash. We're at 9. I'm mad that
Yankees.
the
I don't know if you
Yankees
mentioned
were
that.
6th in the power rankings, and I'm mad that we talked about that trade. That is 11. I was mad at 11 things. And you know what? I had a couple bright points as well. We talked about our Celtics, we talked about our Red Sox, and we talked about our University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill Tar Heels playing in the national championship tonight at the night of this recording. You guys will know the results by the time you listen to it. So congratulations to UNC for winning the national championship. This is a total prediction, so if I'm wrong, don't bring it up. We hope you guys enjoyed.
You can be
Before
right
you
as a pod.
continue.
Congrats to Kansas.
Wow, I can't believe he just did that.
I was going to say, Griff, before you continue, I was like, there's a lot of things that we were mad about today, but the one thing that we should be grateful for is that Duke is not playing on Monday night.
That's facts. Thank you, Coach K, for letting me hate you from the day I was born until today, because this is the end of hating Coach K. Me and Coach K are the same people. We just like to golf and do nothing else. We hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you guys in Augusta, even though we won't be in Augusta, and neither will you guys, but we will be watching on TV. We hope you guys enjoyed as always. Sorry for being idiots this episode, and peace.
Peace.
See ya.